Okay. Happy Friday. Good morning, everybody. For any of you who might not know me, I'm Rachel Peters, physical therapist at Agile PT. And I've been treating and teaching these classes for the better part of the last 16 to 20 years. And welcome, and I'm really happy to have everybody here with me today. We are going to start in standing, feet lined up with the hips. Settle your feet into the floor, and let's go ahead and get the weight lined up right over the front of your ankle joints. You could shift forward and back a little bit over your toes, over your heels, just kind of getting a sense where your balance is, where your center of gravity is aligned. We'll take that motion and make it a little bit smaller. Shift from the ball of the foot just in front of your heel now. You'll feel some little muscles in your arch and maybe in the top of your foot wake up a little bit. Once we settle in right over those ankle joints, let's lift the toes up off the floor. We're going to spread those toes apart and drop them down one at a time. Pinky toe first, then fourth, third, second, and big toe. Let's try a few of those. Just waking up those arch muscles. We'll use them again at the end of class. Let's take those toes all the way to the floor, and we'll spread the feet apart a little bit, maybe shoulder width apart, a little bit wider. From here, let's take a big breath in, and we're going to clasp those palms, take them all the way up to the ceiling. Look towards your fingers. We'll take a big breath in, letting those rib cages open up. And as we exhale, look forward, and we'll take a tall side bend. Let's breathe in up to the top, and we'll exhale over to the other side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, side bend. Inhale, lift. And exhale, side bend. Let's bring those hands up to the ceiling one more time. We'll bring the arms down by the sides and roll those shoulders back and down. One more circle there, and then let's step to one edge of your mat. We're going to keep those feet hip width apart. Soften up your knees a little bit. And moving from those hips, we're going to send the tailbone back and the crown of the head forward, keeping that back nice and still, nice and neutral. Tip back until you start to feel some length from the back of your knees all the way up to where your hamstrings come into the back of your pelvis there. We're going to hold that there. Maybe wiggle your toes around a little bit. Make sure you're right over the front of those ankle joints again with your center of gravity. We're going to bring the arms down by the sides. Nod your chin gently toward the neck. We're going to squeeze those blades together. Bring the elbows up toward the ceiling, keeping that blade squeeze. Hands come down, release your blades. Squeeze, lift, lower, release. Squeeze and lift, lower and release. Hold it there, take a big breath in. And as we exhale, we're going to take one arm forward, the other arm back, and then switch it up. We'll keep alternating those arms. If you want to add a little head turn toward your screen as the far arm comes up overhead, and then away as that other arm comes up. We'll do one more time to each. We'll bring the head back to the middle, take the arm back down by your sides. Take a big breath in, and exhale, we'll fold down, bringing those hands toward the floor. Those knees could be bent as much as they need to be. They could be straight if you really feel like you need to get some length through those hamstrings, and it feels good to do so. Maybe shake your head around a little bit as you look down toward the floor. And we're going to walk ourselves out, bringing the hands away from the feet, keeping those elbows straight. We'll move into an inverted V position and pedal those feet out, giving the calves a little bit of a wake up. Dropping one heel and then the other, keeping those fingers spread wide on your mat or your towel or whatever surface you're exercising on today. Let's drop both heels to the floor. We'll take an inhale here. On the exhale, gently draw your belly towards your spine. Then we'll bring ourselves forward into a high plank. If you need a modification, those knees can come down to the floor. Holding here, we're going to press the heels of the hands into the mat and shift the weight from side to side. Again, keeping the knees down for this weight shift is perfectly fine. We're just waking up those shoulder blades. Taking everything back to the middle, we'll take a big breath in. Exhaling, knees come down to the mat for cat and cow. Arching and curling through a comfortable range. Just getting some oil to those joints early in the morning. Let's do one more time, curl it up. Reverse that curl. We'll take ourselves back to the middle and wag the tail side to side. Shoulder to hip, shoulder to hip. A couple more times each direction. Taking it back to the middle. Hold it here. Big breath in. On the exhale, feet come together, knees come apart. Bring your bottom down towards your heels. We'll walk those hands forward through a range where you can maybe get a little bit of stretch, lengthening down through the arms and the sides of that trunk. Breathing in, we'll draw the forehead down toward the mat. Exhaling, we'll drop that bottom down if you have any more room to bring it down towards your heels. Inhale. On that exhale, we'll drop the forearms to the floor. Shift the weight over those forearms, and let's take the legs back behind the body so we're resting on the upper thighs with a little bit of an extension curve in that upper back. Breastbones gently reaching toward the wall in front of you, and that belly staying up and pulled towards your spine. Hold it here for a breath. On that exhale, we're going to draw the belly up a little closer to the spine. Raise up so we're resting on the lower part of the thighs, right above those knees, and we're going to shift the weight from forearm to forearm. Again, pressing the mat away with your arms, letting one side take a little bit more weight, and then the other. We'll take it right back to the middle, breathe it in, again, sending that breastbone toward the wall in front of you. As we exhale, we'll come down to that mat, and let's go ahead and roll over, making our way to our backs. We're gonna line up the heels with your sit bones, and let your arms rest on the floor here. Gently nod your chin towards your neck. Flip those palms up so they face the ceiling. And let's take a big breath in. And exhaling, we're gonna gently draw that belly down towards your spine, like you're tightening a seatbelt of muscles between that navel and your pubic bone. We're gonna picture a clock face on that pelvis and abdomen. 12 o'clock, reaching up toward the breastbone. 6 o'clock down pubic bone. 3 and 9 on either side. Keeping those palms facing the ceiling here, we're going to think about drawing your collarbones away from the middle of the body. So those shoulder blades are going to press gently into the mat. You'll feel the back sides of your armpits doing a little bit of work here to keep you still. Keeping those connections with that chin drawn down gently, we're going to rock the pelvis from 12 o'clock, shortening the breastbone toward the pubic bone, to 6 o'clock. And we're going to go back and forth, trying to keep that motion in a range where the rest of your body is staying as still as possible. It does shorten up that range quite a bit when you keep that chin down, and it does shorten the range quite a bit when you keep those shoulder blades down. So just play around with that. We're going to come back to neutral, and then we're going to take ourselves from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Dropping one hip bone down to the floor as the other rotates slightly up, and then switching to the other side. If you need a little bit of help finding that movement plane, take your knees side to side. You'll feel your pelvis rock one direction and then rock the other. Once you have that hip motion going, try to keep those knees nice and still as we take that pelvis a few more times from 3 to 9. It's a different movement pattern for sure. Taking everything right back to the middle, we're going to take a big breath in and draw that belly down gently, tightening that seatbelt of muscles in the lower abdomen. Keeping a little bit of tension through those muscles, we're going to nod the chin a little closer to your neck. Float that head up just an inch or two off the floor, keeping that nod. Lower the head, release the nod. Nod and lift, lower and release. Let's keep that chin motion going. We're doing a little mini neck crunch, a little mini neck sit up here, working those deep stabilizing muscles through the front of the throat. One more time, nod and lift, lower and release. And we can look side to side, taking a little tension off those neck muscles. Coming back to the middle with that navel drawn toward the spine again, we're gonna bring one knee up to 90 degrees and bring the other knee up to meet it. That belly's still drawn down. If you're having difficulty and it feels like it's poking up toward the ceiling, feel free to bring a foot down for a kickstand. You should be able to reactivate those muscles. Whether a foot's down or lifted, we're going to hold our hands right up to the middle of the thighs, and we're going to press the hands and the thighs toward each other. Build your pressure gently, the knees coming this way, the hands pushing the opposite way towards your feet, until you feel some muscles working all the way from those lower ribs down toward that pubic bone. Take some breaths here, dropping those shoulders down, and we're gonna nod the chin, lift the head, lower the head and release. Keep that little neck mini sit-up going for a couple more reps. If lifting your head doesn't feel good, simply hold that nod and take some breaths. We're gonna keep the head down now with a little bit of that nod still going. With those pressure through your thighs still, we're gonna take the knees and straighten them and bend. Find the range that you can move those knees through without feeling a barrier. That tailbone should be anchored to the floor. We take the slack out of the hamstrings and put it back in. Maybe play around with different foot positions as well. Go ahead and point your toes again. Straighten up those knees to the end of that available range where you don't feel like you have to push really hard to get them straight. Hold it there. Maybe it's here, maybe it's here, maybe they're all the way straight. We're gonna hold that there. Bring those hands down by the sides. We're hovering up off the floor and stretching them forward. If you want, you could nod your chin, lift the head. You also could lift that upper body up a little bit if mid-back rounding is not a problem for you. Keeping that belly down, maybe we have a couple more inches to bring those legs down. We're gonna hold whatever position's working for you here through that abdomen as we pat those hands up and down. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale. Breathe it in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Keep it going. Again, your knees could be at tabletop. We could have a foot down. We could have those legs all the way extended out in front of you. It's whatever's working for you at this particular time. Breathe it in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Flip those palms up, press into the ceiling. Same deal. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. And breathe it in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe it out. And inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it wherever you are. Maybe bring those legs a little closer to the ceiling. Draw your chin down towards your neck a little farther. Let the head rest on the floor. Keeping those hands hovered up off the mat. We're gonna bring the knees back to tabletop. Take them slightly apart from each other. Rather than pulling the knees all the way into the chin to take a little breather, we're gonna take the hands and rest them behind your thighs. So we're holding those thighs, rocking side to side, but maintaining that tabletop position. Let's hold it there. We're gonna draw those shoulders back and down. We're gonna reset that belly to the spine. And letting go with that far arm, we're gonna take that far leg and straighten it out along the mat. Hold it there. Hang on behind that bent knee. Drawing the belly down again, we're gonna kick the leg into the hands just a little, letting it raise your upper body up off the floor just a little bit. Then we're gonna take it back down. Big breath in, chin to the neck. Kick that leg into your hands, letting your upper body roll up a little. We'll curl it back down. Big breath in. Exhale, kick. Inhale, lower. Last time, exhale, kick through those hands. Inhale, lower. Keep a hold of that thigh. Belly draws down. We'll bring the opposite leg up to meet it in tabletop. And we'll switch legs. That close leg closest to your screen slides out along the mat. You can interlock your fingers behind your thighs. Roll those shoulders down. Kick into the hands. Use those legs to curl your upper body up. And control it back down. Exhale, curl. Inhale, down. Exhale, curl. Inhale, down. Last one, exhale, curl. Inhale it down. Again, keeping a hold behind that thigh. We can bring your other leg up to tabletop again. This time we will pull that close leg all the way into the chest and slide the other leg down along the mat. Tighten up the front of that straight leg, feeling your thigh press into the floor. Maybe even getting a little hip flexor stretch if you're a little bit tight like I am this morning. We're gonna take that bent knee, pull it slightly across the body, give it a little wiggle, pulling into those hip openers on that bent leg side. We'll take it back to the middle. We'll keep a hold of that thigh. We're gonna draw the breastbone toward the belly button and slightly lift your head and upper body. Again, if that's not comfortable, the head could stay on the floor. We're gonna lift that straight leg up off the mat and take it side to side, paint a horizontal line on the wall in front of you. We'll take it back and forth a couple more times, keeping the rest of the body as still as we can while that hip moves. Hold it there. Big breath in. On the exhale, we lower the upper body down. We take that straight leg all the way to the floor. And we're going to take that other leg all the way up to the ceiling, the close leg to the screen. Flex it and point it a little bit. We could pull it a little closer to you by hanging on behind that calf if you need a little more of a stretch. Drawing the belly down, we're going to use those lower abdominal muscles. Picture them working to lift the weight of that leg closest to the floor, up and down. Lift and lower. Those shoulders are drawn down and back. The elbows are soft, maybe bending a little more to pull that other leg a little closer to you. We're going to lower that far leg down to the mat again and take those arms to the ceiling. Holding the arms up, we'll drop the blades down, and that leg lifting up to the ceiling is going to go side to side. Draw a nice slow line horizontally on that ceiling, within a range where you can keep both cheeks on the floor. As you draw out to the side, that belly's drawing down a little farther. We're really using the side muscles in the front of your trunk to help control that rotation, in addition to the deep back muscles helping out to hold you nice and still. We're going to switch to some circles, maybe hovering that leg up off the floor to increase that challenge to the lower body, lower abdominals. Go ahead and circle the other way. We could bring those arms back overhead for a little more challenge to the upper part of your trunk. We're going to hold that leg up to the ceiling, hang on behind that leg, draw those shoulders back. You're welcome to raise your upper body if you want to lift the nose toward the knee. And we're going to switch. That left leg comes up, right leg down. Pull that left knee into your chest, or whatever leg is farther from the screen for you. We'll roll the upper body down, and then take that other bent knee and wiggle it side to side, slightly across your body. Again, we're pulling into those hip rotators, hip openers on that other side. We'll take it back to the middle, holding it there, keeping those shoulders down and the belly down. We could curl up a bit if you want. We can lift that straight leg up off the floor, and we can take that straight leg and use it to paint a line on the wall in front of you. Side to side, keeping the upper body nice and still, keeping everything above the waist nice and still. If we took a picture of you from the waist up, nothing should look like it's moving. We'll stretch that straight leg forward again. We can raise the bent knee, bringing the foot toward the ceiling. We can lower the upper body down, rolling the shoulders back and down, and we'll give that opposite hamstring a little stretch. Flex and point. We could wiggle the knee a little bit if that feels helpful to help you get that leg up toward the ceiling a bit. Holding it there. Again, we're going to drop the belly down. Maybe point your toes a little bit, reach them toward the ceiling, and then using those lower abdominals, we'll take that other foot and lift it up and down. For an extra challenge, you could have your head raised. We'll draw that foot down to the floor, keeping the other leg up toward the ceiling as we take the upper body down. The arms come up, and as the fingertips reach the ceiling, the shoulder blades come down, and we paint that horizontal line on the ceiling with your opposite leg, keeping both cheeks as close to the floor as you can. Maybe challenge it a little farther. See how far out you can take that leg. If you tip over a little bit, there's not far to go. You can always put a hand down for a little more stability on that moving leg side. We can make some circles, maybe lifting that other leg up off the floor. We can take those arms back overhead again to challenge that upper trunk a little more as we switch directions. Let's hold that leg to the ceiling. We'll hang on behind that thigh, the leg stretching upward. We're going to roll the shoulders back and down. With that chin nodded, maybe we lift the head and shoulders up off the floor. Maybe we pull that leg we're stretching a little closer to the body. We're going to move through some straight leg stretch. Body is up or down on the mat. We'll switch the legs, moving one up and one down. Alternate through, maybe adding a little pulse if you feel like you want to add a little bit more oomph to the movement here. Again, the head could be lifted. The head could be lowered. Those knees could be bent a bit. We could move into a march. Keep that going a few more times at whatever level you're feeling good with. If we do want to take it up a notch, those hands can be down by the sides.
with the palms up, pressing the backs of the hands on the floor for our final 2. Draw those knees in, roll the upper body down. We'll rock side to side. Coming back to the middle, let's roll the shoulders back. Look to one side. Look to the other side. Take them right back to the middle. Then we're going to bring those hands down to the floor. Drop your shoulder blades down to the floor. Bring those knees back to tabletop. And with the belly drawn down, again, find that barrier through the back of the legs. Maybe it's here, maybe it's here, maybe it's up straight. So you can get your heels together. Those kneecaps are pointing maybe a little bit out at a diagonal. Maybe there's a little bit of turnout in the hips. Don't worry too much about that. Hold that there. The belly stays drawn down. We're going to use both feet together to draw that horizontal line on the ceiling. So we're moving the lower half of the body, keeping the upper half of the body nice and stable. Those shoulder blades are pressed into the floor. If you want to take it up a notch, those blades still press down, but we can hover the hands up off the floor. You can flip them over and under a little bit to make sure the arms are fairly relaxed. And then with the hands hovered or resting on the mat, we'll draw some small circles on the ceiling. Let's go clockwise, moving those feet together. We could take the hands to the ceiling. Switch directions. We could take those arms back overhead, touching the thumbs to the floor or hovering them up. And let's alternate clockwise, pause at the top, counterclockwise. Keep that going a few times. Feel how your trunk has to respond as you switch directions. Last 2. Last one. Hold them at the top. We'll keep those legs where they are, arms down by the sides. We're going to move the feet in opposite directions of each other, making circles. You have the option of having your knees bent, in which case this might almost feel like the beginning of a breaststroke kick. We're leading with the knees if those legs are bent. Feel free to make that circle as big or as small as you need to keep that trunk active. And we'll switch directions for 3, for 2, for 1. We'll bend those knees back to tabletop again. Hold on behind your thighs. Let your legs rest into your arms. Take them right back to the middle. We're going to roll those shoulders back and down. Pull the knees all the way into the chest. We'll take those feet back down to the floor with the arms resting by the sides. And let's move through a few pelvic clocks. 12 to 6. Take them back to the middle. Move 3 to 9, either moving from the pelvis or rocking those knees side to side if you just need a little bit of grease for those wheels, those joints through your spine. Take them back to the middle. Keeping those hands on the floor. We're going to line those feet up so your heels and your sit bones are lined up with each other. So there's a few inches between your kneecaps, a few inches between your ankle bones, and everything is lined up with the hip on that leg side. Let's take a breath in. On the exhale, we're going to draw the belly down, lift the bottom up into bridge, hold it there. As we hold our bridge, think about drawing spine and belly toward each other. There's some activity on both sides of the trunk working here. See how it feels if you press those blades a little farther down into the floor. Maybe you can lift your bottom up a tiny bit higher. Think about stretching those kneecaps toward the wall in front of you so you get a little stretch through the front of the thighs, maybe up at the hips, maybe down at the knees. Find a comfortable level. If you need to bring yourself down a little bit to take pressure off your back or off your thighs, feel free to do so. We'll breathe in at the top and we'll lengthen back down. Inhale at the bottom, exhale, bridging up. Let's do a few here at your own speed. Find a breathing pattern that works for you. The main thing here is to keep breathing regularly versus holding your breath through the exercise. The more you can keep that breathing pattern regular, the more readily you'll be able to activate those core muscles, those pelvic muscles, those hip muscles. Lower it down. We'll do one more here. We're going to lift up to the top. We can hold the bridge or we can come up and down on the toes. If you're lifting those heels up and down, try to keep that bottom as still as you can as you lift and lower. As those heels come down, you have to squeeze those glutes a little bit more in order to maintain that height. Big breath in. Bridge it down. Take a little breather. Knees go side to side. Rest those glutes for a second. Coming right back to the middle, we'll breathe it in. Exhale it up to bridge. Hold it at the top, feeling that length through the front of the thighs. And we're gonna rotate. We'll drop a hip down and lift it up. And the other hip down and lift it up. Whatever height you start with, you wanna keep that lifted hip at that same level as you rotate through the other side. Lower and lift. So you'll feel that glute really working on the side that's staying lifted. We'll hold it up at the top, breathing in, bridge it down. Again, shake out those rear ends just a little bit before coming back to the middle. Prepare, big breath in, exhale, bridge it up. Holding the bridge this time, we can stick with rotation or move to a march. As we lift one knee up, think about pressing equally and opposite down into the floor with your other leg. We could take that bridge and do some variations where we straighten the knee, bringing the foot toward the ceiling. We could also lower a foot down toward the floor and bring it back up, adding a little straight leg to our bridge. We can stay right with the simple bridge if that feels the most appropriate this morning. We're going to press both feet with the floor again, inhaling, exhale, bridge it down. When that tailbone comes down to the floor, we'll wiggle that hips out a little bit, cross one leg over the other. Maybe we pull them into the chest, give those hip muscles a little bit of a stretch, those rotators, those extensors. Let them take a little breather as we rock side to side. Switch it up again. Rock them side to side. Let's unwind. Take those knees back to tabletop. Keep the hands pressed into the thighs until you feel those trunk muscles working a bit. And then the hand and leg closest to your screen is going to stay right, they're going to stay right where they are. That opposite hand is going to come up to the ceiling. We're going to bring your knee and your arm close to each other on that moving side, that side that's not anchored, no pushing. And then we're going to take that side away. Arm comes back, leg comes forward. We'll take it back up to the top. Lengthen away, shorten to center, lengthen away, shorten to center. Last one here. We'll bring it back up to tabletop, switch to hands. Opposite hand and thigh press into each other. That free arm comes up overhead. We'll take a big breath in, exhale, lengthen away. Inhale up to the top. Exhale, lengthen. Inhale up to the top. Last two. Bring it up. Last one. Bring it up. We'll press both hands into the thighs one more time for a good measure. Inhale. Exhale. Belly draws down. We'll take both feet to the floor. The arms to the ceiling. And we'll slide one leg out straight along your mat and the other leg out along your mat to meet it. Once you're here, wiggle around a little bit. Make sure you're comfortable in this position. If you need to accommodate some tight muscles in the hips or in the back, go ahead and bend your knees. Keeping those legs in a comfortable position and those palms facing in on each other. Let's reach those shoulder blades up toward the ceiling. Fingertips reach up towards your light fixtures. And then drop those blades down, keeping your elbows straight. Reach and lower. And reach and lower. Two more times. Lower down. Last one. Lower down. We're going to keep those blades anchored down into the mat. Take an inhale. As you breathe out, draw your chin down towards your neck. Drop your breastbone down. Drop those lowest ribs down toward the floor, feeling that middle back really anchor itself into the mat. That belly draws down toward your spine. And we'll take a couple breaths here, feeling the front of your body getting nice and heavy down into the mat. Holding those connections, particularly that chin down toward the neck and the breastbone down. Take those arms back overhead. Far as you can stretch them with straight elbows. If you feel them starting to bend, bring them up a little higher. Hold them at that point where you first start to feel the barrier. Maybe it's a stretch under your arms, If you feel it on the top of your shoulders, back those hands up toward the ceiling a little closer. And once we find that end range there, we're gonna, again, draw the chin down toward the neck. See if we can take up a little more slack. Draw that breastbone down. Lowest ribs draw down. And the belly button draws down. And from here, we're gonna lift a foot up and down, and then the other foot up and down. We're going for a stable pelvis here. So if you had something balanced on your pelvis, somewhere between your belly button and your pubic bone, it shouldn't move. Keep walking those feet out. If you want to make this harder, one leg lifts up, and then we switch them simultaneously. That leg comes down as the other leg comes up. Keep that going, or we stick with our regular leg lifts. We're going to move those hands back up to the ceiling. We'll bring the feet down. Take one more big breath in as we take those arms up overhead. Exhale, and we're going to turn over to our stomachs. Find yourself a comfortable position here. If you need something to bolster up the midsection, you could always find a towel or something just to give you a little bit of lift under the belly if you feel like you need to keep your back a little flatter versus being arched. You can also bring your feet away from each other out to the outer edges of your mat, or even a little farther if you need a little more opening for that lower back. We're going to have the elbows out to the sides, the armpits dropping toward the floor, and the forehead resting on your hands. Take a couple breaths here. Relax your glutes as much as you can. Try to keep them out of the next couple of parts of the sequence that we're going to be doing here. We're going to breathe in, and as you exhale, draw that belly up and away from the floor. It's a little challenging initially to do this without squeezing your bottom, but you can. As that belly lifts up, remember it's the muscles we're trying to lift from the floor. Your skin can still stay on the floor. There's nothing wrong with that. It's those deeper muscles that we're trying to activate here. Maybe even draw up through your pelvic floor a little bit here. That might help stabilize. If you can maintain that contraction, see if you can float your forehead up off of your hands. So we're looking towards your middle finger of that top hand. Keep breathing, keeping those lowest ribs resting on your mat. See if you can send your breastbone slightly toward the wall in front of you. The crown of your head comes up just a little bit till it starts reaching toward where your wall in front of you and your ceiling meet. So we have a little bit of a curve in the upper back here. That lower body should be staying still. Your glutes should still be relaxed. Once you're here, think about dropping your armpits toward the floor. That belly's still lifted. The chin's gently nodded towards your neck. Hold it there. Now we can squeeze the bottom and lift those legs up off the floor. Maybe it's your feet only if your knees are resting on the floor because those hips are tight. That's okay. We're going to hold that there. And here with the belly drawn in, we're going to float the forehead up a little higher and bring those hands up towards your forehead. Hold it there. Flutter kick those legs. If you want to challenge this more, those arms can come out in front of you or down by your sides, depending on your shoulder mobility. We could alternate through and almost go for a little swim. One arm comes forward as the other arm comes back. We're keeping those legs moving. As we switch that arm position, you can let your hands go along and your head go along for the ride. As that arm reaches down towards your feet, you could look over that shoulder a bit. Those arms could also be nice and still. They could also be resting on the floor. Your head could be down if you need a little break. We're going to pause those legs once the hands are down by the sides, and we're going to click those legs together. Click your heels together. Click 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the feet down. Keep that belly drawn in, and we're going to take the hands by the ears and the elbows stay by the sides. Squeeze your blades together. We're going to pulse those blades toward the ceiling for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We could do one more set here. If you want to challenge it farther, hands come out to T. Maybe those thumbs face the ceiling. And we'll pulse those hands and shoulder blades again for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it up there for a big breath in. On the exhale, the hands come underneath the shoulders. We push out of that position, bringing the bottom down towards your heels. Take a breath here. We're reversing that curve a bit. Find a range that feels good on your lower back and good on your shoulders. We'll take one more breath in here. And breathing out, we'll come up to hands and knees. Let's go ahead and gently push the bottom back, rock ourselves forward. Pushing and pulling, controlling that motion with the heels of your hands. We'll come back to the center and shift the weight side to side. Again, pushing the floor away with your hands or your fists if you need to give your wrists a little break. Coming back to the middle, we'll do some circles around that base of support. We're just waking up those shoulder muscles. We'll go the other way. Let's take it right back to the middle here. We're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together behind the back and press them forward toward the floor. Squeeze and press. Squeeze and press. Little mini press-ups, push-ups for those shoulder blades. We can switch to single arm. So the hand closest to your screen comes up to your thigh. Keeping your trunk level as you can. Again, we're pressing up and down through that supporting shoulder blade. Those muscles underneath your armpit are controlling that motion. We can switch sides. Again, squeeze and press, squeeze and press, squeeze and press. Last two. Last one. We'll take that hand back down, reset everything. And the arm that's farthest from your screen is going to come out to the side. Maybe we look over that shoulder. Maybe we bring that arm to the ceiling before threading the needle. We'll bring it through. Reach it towards your screen between your other hand and your knee. Reach it up and out. Thread it through. Two more here. Thread. One more time. Reach it up. Thread it through. We'll take it back to hands and knees. Switch it up. Close to the screen, that arm reaches up and threads. Take it up. Thread it through. Last two. And last one. Thread it through. We'll take it back up to hands and knees. Roll those shoulders back in circles a couple of times. And roll them forward in circles a couple times. Hold it right there. We're going to slide the leg closest to the screen out behind you. We're going to take the ball of the foot, press it into the floor. Press the heels of the hands into the floor, dropping those shoulder blades toward the mat. See if you can press through the ball of your foot and just unweight that bent knee a little bit. Lift it and lower it. One more time. Unweight, load it up, switch sides. That knee comes in, the opposite leg slides back. The ball of the foot presses into the floor. Reset those hands, pressing through the heels of the hands and the ball of that straight foot. Lift the other knee up, draw it down. Press and unweight, lower it down. This is preparing us for some planks that we're going to try later. Last one. Take it down. We'll come back to hands and knees. Let's do a couple of cats and cows. Giving that midsection a little breather. Take it back to the center. And from here, we're going to take one leg back and the opposite arm forward. Find your balance point and then switch it up. With the ultimate goal of keeping that pelvis as level as you can. If you had something balanced in the small of your back, it shouldn't move as you go through these. We can make this more challenging if you want by shifting away from your screen, taking the same side arm and leg and lifting them up off the mat. Keep that going here. We're going to do two more of these on each side. Take your time here. Try to keep that supporting shoulder away from your ear. We'll come back to all fours. We're going to extend one leg back behind the body, pressing the foot into the mat again. If this is where you're comfortable with that plank level, stay here. Otherwise, we can come up into full plank, or we can bring the knees down to shorten that lever. We're going to hold ourselves, whatever position is working for you, and rock that body side to side. Take it back to the middle. We could add a leg lift. We could add opposite arm and leg. Stick with whatever variation is working for you right now. Knees down, knees up. Staying on all fours, lifting one arm and leg. Or trying another one or two of these. We're trying ultimately to keep your bottom and your head lined up with each other as we go through these motions. Taking it back down to plank, we'll bring the knees down again. Feet together, knees apart, the bottom comes down toward the heels as we walk those hands forward. Big breath in, big breath out. Walk the hands toward your screen, taking one on top of the other. Breathe it in. Exhaling, we'll walk them over to the other side. One more big breath in here, feeling that side you're moving away from lengthen. We'll draw it back down to the middle. Take those hands forward one more time. We're going to come forward onto the forearms and take the legs back behind the body. We're resting on those upper thighs, pressing those shoulder blades to the mat. So we have a little bit of a backward curve in the upper back. If that's not feeling great for you, feel free to lift up almost into a plank on your knees here. We're going to hold our position with those blades down. We're going to bend one knee, kick the heel a couple times toward the bottom. Kick, kick, straighten out. Move it through at your own speed. Again, we're going for a level pelvis. And respect any length differences you might have between the front of your thighs on both sides. If one side's tight, you may not be able to lift that heel up very high, but that's okay. We're going to try to move both legs together. Kick, kick, straighten out. Last two. Last one. We're going to turn those toes under again. We're going to move up first into a plank on the knees, and then up into a full plank if that's working for you. Shift your weight side to side. We'll take it back to the middle. Big breath in. Knees down. We're going to push back, bringing the bottom to the heels one more time. As your forehead comes down, we'll take a couple deep breaths. Exhaling, we're going to come up and bring our legs in front of the body, reaching them toward the front of your mat. Right. So our goal here is to get that trunk up nice and tall. The crown of the head is reaching toward the ceiling as if there's a little string pulling it up. We're going to widen those feet apart from each other so they're just outside the borders of your mat. See if you can draw your belly in. If you're having trouble accessing those muscles, bend your knees a little bit more. Hands come up, lined up with your legs, so they're in a little bit of a narrow V as well. We're going to hinge forward and hinge upright. That motion might not be very much if those inner thighs or hamstrings aren't feeling like they're very mobile this morning. It's okay. Again, respect it and go for however far you can move, keeping that spine nice and neutral, nice and still. We're going to find that barrier. Hold yourself right at the barrier, maybe a little bit back of it, and drop your hands down towards your feet, towards your knees, towards your thighs, wherever they rest. We're going to take the hands to the leg closest to your screen, and we're going to take that arm on that same side, reach it out. Maybe look over that shoulder. Go ahead and switch through at your own speed. If rotation feels good, feel free to look over those shoulders and rotate. If you feel better just moving the trunk in line with your leg and taking that arm out, that's completely fine as well. This is the last one. We're going to come right back to the middle, come up nice and tall, hold on behind those thighs, and angle ourselves back while rolling those shoulders back. We're giving ourselves a fair amount of support at the thighs through the hands right now. So relying a little bit on that support, draw your belly in. See if you can maintain that navel to spine contraction while taking one hand away from your leg. Maybe you can maintain it while taking the other hand away from your leg. If you can't, come up a little taller. Draw that belly in. Maybe flatten your back out a little bit, the lower part of the back, by tucking your pelvis under just slightly. Let's take the hands and arms to the outsides of your thighs. Press them together. Press the hands into your thighs and your thighs into your hands. We're going to alternate. Open up the hand closest to your screen. Take it out to the side. Bring it back to the middle while drawing the belly in, and switch it up. Let's go for one more time on each. And then we'll take the hands back to the thighs. And we're going to relax your feet. We're going to take one leg up toward the ceiling and back down. And the other. Switch through. Maybe we take the hands away from your legs. Maybe the hands rest on the floor. Maybe they come up parallel to your thighs. Maybe we try both feet together, giving the balance a little challenge. 2 more wherever you are. That might have been 3. I'm not a very good counter. We'll come up nice and tall. Let's do a little seated cat-cow here. Letting those back and stomach muscles release. We're going to come up tall again. Take the hands behind the body, straightening out those elbows. Squeeze your blades. If there's not enough room to squeeze your blades, bring your bottom a little closer to your hands. Otherwise, we can move the bottom forward. We could take the hands and point them out to the sides if your wrists need a little extra room here. We're going to send the breastbone up toward where your wall and your ceiling meet in front of you. And take a few breaths, squeezing those blades. Let your chin gently drop towards your neck, so we keep that neck supported. If we want to progress this stretch here, you can bring your heels a little closer to your bottom and lift yourself up into reverse tabletop. Hold it here. If you want to challenge those hamstrings a little more, those knees could be straight. You can press through the heels. Take an inhale and an exhale. One more time, big breath in. On the exhale, we slowly lower the bottom down if it's been up. If that bottom's been resting on the floor, go ahead and unweight the legs. Shake those wrists out a bit. Roll your shoulders out a bit. And let's go ahead and turn and face the screen. Legs could be crossed. If you need something to give yourself a little extra room, if those hips are a little bit resistant to rotation, feel free to find a sofa cushion or a bolster, another mat to put under your bottom to lift your bottom up a little bit higher. We're going to take those arms out to the side and take a tall side bend, up and over. And we'll do a few to each side here. Last one over to the other side. Let's come up nice and tall. Moving from the breastbone, we're going to rotate. Breastbone comes over to one side to line up with your kneecap. And we'll switch it up. Let's take it back to the center. Squeeze your blades together for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold them there. Big breath in. On the exhale, we're going to drop those hands to the floor. Let's reassess your situation. How long are your arms? I have really long arms. My hands come down to the floor quite readily when my hands are resting by my sides. If your hands aren't quite touching the floor, take your mat, roll it up a bit. Or if you feel like you just need a little extra padding for the heels of your hands, feel free to roll your mat up and give yourself a little more leverage. We're going to go ahead and take those hands down by your sides. They're going to be resting right where your bottom folds into your femurs. Okay? We're going to press the heels of the hands down into the floor, into your mat. If they still don't reach, even with the mat rolled up, just hold them there and think about dropping your shoulders toward the floor. We're going to press the heels down and the heels of the hands down into that surface enough that you can unweight the tissues over your sit bones. Again, just like when we were laying on our stomachs, if your skin doesn't leave the mat, it's actually completely fine. We're just going for activating those underarm muscles, a little bit of work in the lower part of your trunk, a little bit of work in the front of your pelvis to lift those sit bones and unweight them from the mat. We're holding here, breathing in and breathing out. If you want to see how well you're lifting and you have enough flexibility in your legs, you're always welcome to bring those feet forward. Inhale and exhale. Last time, inhale. On the exhale, we'll bring the bottom down. Again, shake those wrists out. They've been working hard. We'll roll them out a little bit one direction and a little bit the other. We could stretch them forward, bend and straighten the elbows, keep those joints happy. And we're going to come up into kneeling. Once we're up nice and tall, we're going to keep those arms in front of the body and raise them up till they're parallel to the floor. Let's shift the weight back until you feel your thighs working. You should feel some work being done in those quads. Not so far that you're feeling your kneecaps though, so keep that in mind. We're going to open one arm out to the side. Follow it with your head as you reach that arm back. You can reach the opposite arm forward towards your screen. Let's fold it back to the center and switch it up. Opposite arm comes back, rotate and reach. Take it back to the center. One more time over to the other side, reach and center. And last one, open it up, bring it back to the center. We'll come up nice and tall. Take those arms down by the sides. We're gonna flip those palms facing forward. Take the hands back behind the body as far as you can comfortably reach them, keeping your shoulders from hunching forward. And we're gonna pulse your pinkies together, squeeze them and pulse for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. Big breath in, exhale down, and we're gonna take one leg out to the side. If you want your hands down for a little support, a little balance assist as we bring that other leg out, go for it. We're gonna try to get that straight leg foot resting on the floor so the outer border of your foot comes to the mat. If it doesn't happen, it's okay. You could turn your leg out to the side just slightly. We'll come up nice and tall with the hands on the hips. We're gonna hinge with the crown of the head coming forward, your bottom coming back. We'll come up nice and tall. Take it forward, you should get a little inner thigh stretch. Take it up. Find a range where you feel like you're not forcing yourself through, but maybe you're giving yourself a little extra length. Last one here. Take it up tall. We can take the arms out to the side and reach over and take it up and over to the other side. Remember, you can find a range that works for you. It could be 2 inches, could be all the way over with that leg up. Let's come up nice and tall, hands to the floor again, and we'll switch. That opposite leg comes out to the side. Find the foot position that's working for you. Little inner thigh stretch. We'll come up nice and tall. And from here, we're gonna hinge. Crown of the head forward, bottom back. Take it up tall. Hinge it forward. Take it up. Hinge it forward. Take it up. And one more time, hinge it forward. Take it up, arms out to the side as we take our side bends through a range again that's working for you. We're gonna do 2 more here. Maybe lifting the leg. Maybe keeping it on the floor. Maybe we just take that arm a little farther overhead to challenge that leverage there. Let's go ahead and bring those arms down. And we're gonna come down on our sides. We're gonna go through a little bit shorter version of our side kick series here. And this time we're gonna rest the head on the arm like we normally do, but we're gonna start with our legs straight. We're gonna be in a little bit of a pike, so your feet are gonna be forward and your bottom's back just a little bit. So there's a little flexion in the hips. That bottom foot's gonna be flexed for a little support. Hands come down in front of you. And we're gonna lift that top leg up just to hip height, pressing through that bottom leg for stability. That top foot's gonna kick twice forward. We're gonna point the toe and draw it back. Kick, kick, point it back. Kick, kick, point it back. You can take your hand to the top of your head if you wanna make it, that top hand to the top of your head if you wanna make it a little more challenging, stable, stability-wise. That top leg comes back. It's gonna be quite a bit back from your bottom leg. It's lined up with your body. We're gonna take the toes down and bottom and touch it down in front. Excuse me, down and back, down and front, down and back, down and front. One more time, down and back, down and front. Let's lift it up, line it up with your body again, taking it back behind that bottom leg. We'll flex the foot. We're gonna pulse that ankle toward the ceiling. Hold it there, point the toes again. We're gonna circle. And we're gonna circle the other way. We're gonna hold it up there, bending that top knee, taking the top foot to the bottom knee. We'll take that top knee down and lift. Really push that bottom leg into the mat for a little extra stability. Last one here. Top hand comes down to the floor. We're gonna straighten both legs out, keeping them together. We'll take them down and up. Last one's on this side. Last 4, 3, 2, 1. Take them down. Bend that knee up, catch your hip out, and we'll take it up and over to the other side. Again, we'll go ahead and rest that head on your top arm or your bottom arm. We're going to straighten out those legs in a slight pike with the feet in front of the body and the hips back. Pressing that bottom leg into the floor. We'll lift that top leg up. With a flexed foot, we're going to kick it twice forward, point the toes back. If you want to add a little arm choreography here, you can. As the legs come forward, the top arm comes back. As the top leg comes back, the arms come forward. Let's try a couple more here. Last one. And that top leg is back behind the bottom leg, lined up with your body. We'll tap the toes down behind, lift them up and tap them down in front. Tap them in back, tap them in front. Back and forth and back and forth. We'll lift that leg up, line it up with your trunk again, and let's make some heel pulses. Ankles come up to the ceiling, top ankles come up to the ceiling. Point the toes, circle. Circle in the other way. Hold them up there. Bottom leg comes up. Oh, excuse me, I missed one. Bend that top knee. Foot comes to the bottom knee. Top knee comes down and up. Keep that going. If you need that top hand down in front, feel free to place it there. Last one, squeeze that knee to the ceiling, and we'll press both legs straight, keeping those feet together. We'll take them down and up. Last 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold them up there. Take them down. Pat that hip out, and let's roll to our backs. All right, feet down on the floor, arms by the sides. We made it. And let's rock those knees side to side. Let's take them back to the middle. We'll cross one over the other, maybe pulling it into your chest for a couple breaths. Let's go ahead and unwind and switch them up. Cross one over, maybe pulling them in. Maybe adding a little rock side to side if you need it. We'll go ahead and unwind, pull them in one more time. And we're gonna make our way up to our feet. You're welcome to stand up just straight away. You're welcome to come through hands and knees, maybe a little cat-cow, maybe a little side-to-side tail wag. We could come up through plank. You could do that push-up you've been dying to do, or not. We'll come up through that down dog or inverted V position, take an inhale. And let's make our way up to standing if we're not there already. We're gonna roll those shoulders back a bit. Find somewhere to stand that's comfortable. We're gonna soften up those knees a little bit. We're gonna take the hands to the hips, and we're gonna shift from one leg to the other. We wanna keep the center of gravity low and press that floor away with your feet. Let's shift the weight all the way to one foot. We're gonna hold it there. Come up onto the other toes. So we're using those feet as a little kickstand. We're gonna straighten up a bit. Hold it there. We're gonna lift that other foot up and hold ourselves in single leg balance. If you need to have something to hold on to, feel free to find something, your wall, a chair, the sofa, and we're gonna wiggle that other knee out and in. Focusing on keeping yourself nice and upright. Let's go ahead and take that second foot down. We'll shift the weight to the other side. Lift up into that little kickstand, straightening up your supporting leg. We'll bring ourselves into single leg balance. Hold it there, reassess your situation if you need to find something to hold. And we'll take that other knee out and in. Last one out to the side. We'll take it back to the center. Go ahead and bring your feet down. Shake everything out a little bit with those heels lined up with your hips. We're gonna stand up tall with the weight right over the front of the ankle joints. We'll lift those toes up, spread them apart. Wiggle them down a couple times, starting with that pinky toe. Final one, we'll take those toes down to the floor. And from here, let's take a big breath in. Hold them up at the top, and we'll take those palms in toward the center. Thanks for getting up extra early with me today, you guys. I hope everyone has a really nice weekend and hope to see you again on the mat next week.